He was known around the neighborhood simply as the mechanic, a man in his late 30s whose hands were permanently marked by grease and old scars. His shop sat at the edge of town, a narrow concrete building with a flickering sign and a door that never quite closed right. Business was slow, not because he lacked skill, but because most people judged the place before giving him a chance. Old shop, old tools, poor mechanic. That was enough for many to drive past. One afternoon, a flatbed truck rolled in carrying what looked like a forgotten dream. A 1967 Mustang, once powerful and proud, now reduced to rust, dents, and silence. Its paint was faded beyond recognition, tires flat, engine frozen. Stepping out of the truck was a sharply dressed man, clearly wealthy, and beside him his teenage daughter, whose eyes lit up the moment she saw the car. The rich man explained briefly that the Mustang had belonged to his late brother. It had been sitting in a barn for decades, untouched. Several high-end restoration shops had already refused the job or quoted prices so high they felt insulting. Someone had mentioned this small garage as a last option. The man's tone suggested doubt more than hope. The mechanic listened quietly. He walked around the car slowly, running his fingers along the damaged body, opening the hood, peering underneath. Where others saw a lost cause, he saw potential. He didn't promise miracles. He didn't flatter. He simply said it would take time, patience, and trust. The rich man hesitated, then asked the question he clearly expected to end the conversation. Could someone like him really restore a car like this? The mechanic didn't take offense. He just nodded once and named a price far lower than the others, not because he undervalued his work, but because he knew what the car meant. After a long pause and a glance at his daughter's hopeful face, the man agreed. The Mustang stayed. Days turned into weeks. The mechanic worked after hours, often late into the night. He sourced old parts from scrapyards, rebuilt pieces others would have replaced, and polished what could still be saved. He treated the car with the same care he once gave his own dreams before life forced him into survival mode. Music played softly in the background while sparks flew and tools clanged. The daughter began visiting after school. At first, she watched from a distance, curious but quiet. Slowly, she started asking questions. The mechanic answered everyone, explaining engines, history, and why older cars had soul. She listened the way people do when they feel something meaningful forming. Over time, she began helping in small ways, handing tools, cleaning parts, learning. The rich man came less often. When he did, his eyes scanned the shop skeptically. Progress was slow, and he wasn't used to waiting. But each visit revealed subtle changes. Rust disappearing, lines becoming cleaner, the engine beginning to breathe again. One evening, the mechanic stayed up all night fitting the last major component. Exhausted, he sat on the floor as the sun rose through the dusty windows. When he finally turned the key, the engine hesitated, then roared to life. The sound filled the garage, deep and powerful. He didn't smile. He just closed his eyes, letting the moment speak for itself. Weeks later, the car was ready. The rich man arrived with his daughter, expecting improvement, not transformation. When the garage door lifted, both of them froze. The Mustang stood there shining, its classic lines restored, paint glowing, chrome polished to perfection. It looked like it had rolled straight out of 1967. The daughter gasped. Her hands flew to her mouth as tears filled her eyes. She walked slowly around the car, afraid it might vanish if she blinked. The rich man stood speechless, his confidence replaced by disbelief. The mechanic handed over the keys without ceremony. They took the car for a drive together. The engine purred, smooth and alive. The daughter laughed openly, the kind of laugh that comes from pure joy. When they returned, the rich man stepped out, emotion written clearly across his face. He asked why the mechanic charged so little. The mechanic shrugged and said some things were worth more than money. That day changed more than one life. The rich man shared the story, not as a display of wealth but of skill and humility. Word spread quickly. The small garage became busy. People stopped judging the sign and started trusting the work. The daughter kept visiting, not just for the car, but for the lessons. She learned that greatness doesn't always wear expensive clothes, and that talent can live quietly, waiting for someone to believe in it. As for the mechanic, he never left his shop. He didn't need to. He had restored more than a Mustang. He had restored respect, purpose, and the reminder that true craftsmanship can still leave even the richest people stunned.